I apologize now for the state of my voice. I have a awful cold, and I feel pretty crappy. I've been seeing a lot of reacts to this Starbucks LGBT advertisement. Starbucks partnered with the charity Mermaids, which is a LGBT charity, a British charity. They have this advertisement that won a winner of the Diversity Advertisement Award in 2019. I've been seeing a lot of people. I've seen a few people making videos reacting to this advertisement. So I've seen it now a couple times, and I've watched a couple reactions. And there's just feelings about it that I have that have been very different to what other people's were. And I just wanted to discuss those and why I think I have them. For starters, in case you haven't seen it, I'm going to be rewatching it again right now because it's been a couple days since I saw it. I'll put a little time if you want to jump in and watch it if you've already seen it. So.
Gemma Miller?
Gemma Miller, please come to room 4.
Hello?
Hello, am I talking to Gemma?
Hey, Dad.
Hey! Carol, you remember my Gemma?
Gemma?
And what's your name?
It's James.
James?
So I have to admit, it's taken me a few watches of that commercial to get comfortable with it. The first time I saw it, it just made me very uncomfortable. And I feel like that was such a different reaction to what other people I've seen say. Many other people felt it was heartwarming, like almost bring a tear to the eye type. I remember that, and very like a good kind of sad feeling. Well, I almost want to say the first time I watched it, I wanted to look away and kind of cringe at it, which I think just goes to how I've had such a different time dealing with my coming out as trans compared to other people I see on the internet, which is, I think, made it somewhat hard for me to relate to a lot of people. There's many different things this advertisement has brought up to me, but the first one I'm going to talk about, the first one that comes to mind is where I think a lot of my feelings come from. The earliest memory I have about being, at the very least, gender non-conforming is this memory of, I don't know how old I was, had to have been very young, hearing what I believed was my mom talking about how I always wanted to hang around the boys and how that was unusual. And I don't know who she was talking to, and I don't know who said it, but there was something coming up of a feeling of worry. I remember the term worry in my head. And I feel like I centered my life for a long time around that. This sort of need to hide this because it was just for some reason not okay. And when I first realized that I was trans, learned about trans, I was 18. I was already so caught up in hiding my feelings, there was no way I could talk about it. So I spent the next 3 years, no, not 3 years, I don't know if it was May 2018, sorry, 14, May 2014 was when I realized I was trans. And the first time I talked about it with anyone was the first time I was drunk, and it was early 2016, January, February. And for me, it was just this impossible topic to talk about. And I think I've said this before in some of my videos, that I literally was unable to talk about it. Like, physically could not bring myself to talk about it. And watching this advertisement, I think, brings back a lot of that. That's not completely gone for me, despite the fact that I'm now talking about it and trying to make a few videos on the internet talking about it. I've still not completely gotten past that inability to talk about it. And I would just I don't think I'm alone in that difficulty, and I think it's important for other people to know that other people also have to deal with that feeling. Now, in my mind about the advertisement, I think, even though it made me super uncomfortable, I think it's a good thing. It's a good kind of discomfort that I need to get over, and any other trans people with that same problem need help to work to get over. And especially, also, I bet there's tons of cis people and other people who also get this weird discomfort about it, just because of the way trans has been deemed as a bad thing in their eyes. And just making this more visible is to help just to slowly bring that down. Like I said, it took a few watches, and I started getting more comfortable watching this. And I'm happy to say that on I don't know if it's the third or fourth time I've actually watched the advertisement, it's a lot easier for me to watch. And also, because of that, I feel like it's also a little bit different for my relating to it. Don't get me wrong, I've had lots of discomfort about my name. The first story that I think of when I'm thinking about the first story that this brought to mind was in my time in college. I had two majors, computer science and music. Now, in music, a lot of people knew me, and I had a lot more friends and at least acquaintances, while on my CS, I rarely did I know anyone. I maybe would have a semester where I became friends with someone, and then I wouldn't really see them the next semester, and it was very off and on. So sometimes I would have a semester where I just knew nobody in my major. I didn't have any classes, and I didn't talk to anyone. I was also at this time very much, I think because of my dealing with the trans, I wasn't good at staying in communication with people, which is why I quickly fell out of touch with people in computer science after I didn't have a class with them again. Anyway, I specifically remember in this one class that I can't remember if I was either the only one to get a certain question right on an exam or on a homework, or if I had noticed a mistake no one else had noticed, and I wouldn't be surprised if I would have, on our discussion board, made a private message to the instructor asking if this was a mistake in the problem. And this professor was one of the ones that like to make a big deal that they don't often have mistakes on their exams and their homework, that they look over it and they rarely get a mistake, and then it becomes rare that any student actually catches it. And decided to, I guess, congratulate me in front of the whole class about it. Takes my attendance sheet picture from my ID and has it up on the projector, and says my birth name, and asking to come up because I was gonna get I guess a piece of candy for doing this, and he wanted to yay, you did a great job. Now, I guess for any other person, I guess for anyone this would be slightly uncomfortable, but for a cis person, this probably would have been quite a big deal. A quick note about, I haven't shared my birth name on here, but I could tell you that I've never met anyone with my birth name under the age of 60. I'm named after my grandmother, and I've gone by, since I was a kid, a nickname of that name. And it's just the kind of name that I'm not exactly the type of person you picture with that name. Definitely not. And not to mind that this picture is my first ID picture, which was the one I went to the first orientation for my college. So this was I was still in high school when I got this ID taken, and I still had long hair and looked nothing like me. And I just sat in my seat so uncomfortable, being I hope no one next to me realizes that's me. I don't think anyone did, and they just assumed I didn't show up to class that day. I did not get up. I think he assumed I just wasn't there. I did not say anything. Just stayed back, did nothing. But yeah, so that's definitely something where my name was uncomfortable. I actually didn't come up with or have a name in mind for most of my pre-transition uncomfortable times. I know a lot of people went through a time where they know they're trans and they're do blah blah blah, and they start, I guess, socially transitioning before medically transitioning and legally transitioning, and have this sort of period of their birth names everywhere. And I didn't exactly have that. At my university, we have a great program that they set up where you can log into your student portal and you can put a preferred name, and it pops up almost everywhere. It becomes your your school Gmail account. It'll switch to it takes a little bit of time for it to switch, like a day or so for it to switch, but it switches to your preferred name. All the rosters for your professors and everything is your preferred name. Only on the real legal, like, they basically switch it everywhere that they can possibly switch it. I think part of my experience with name is a bit different because I ended up talking with my parents before even deciding officially, like, not officially, but like really deciding and starting to go by a different name. I, of course, had thought about it, but never actually picked one or started going by it. And so in that scene with James's father, I never exactly, I didn't have that sort of, oh, he doesn't know I'm going by a different name now. No, I did have that whole, the back and forth with my parents calling me by my birth name and stuff, but I never quite had them not knowing part. For me personally, I didn't have the same relating to with this ad that other people may have had. I've definitely had other name related stories that are a bit different than this one. For instance, I am working as a farm tech, and my farm tech license is still in my birth name, and so that means at work the name in the system needs to match the license, so my birth name is what's in the computer system. Early on, I had one of the pharmacists come to me and ask if I'm packing under someone else's username because that name didn't seem right for me. And yeah, sometimes when you first start and they didn't give you an account yet, they might have you pack under the name of the person you're training under. But then when I'm by myself now, I should be using my own user. And I had to tell her I'm getting my name changed. And I don't know if she got it, if she understood, but it was kind of like very awkward and uncomfortable. Another time I had a guy come in that was talking about there was a change in the script. And he was saying was there this other girl who packed it, because he was looking at the name of the user that packed it and thought there was someone else working in here that must have packed it. And I just kind of blew it off and made it seem like, yeah, it wasn't me. I'll fix it. Yeah, I'm here now, so I'll update it and change it. And I'm not sure if he caught on that I was trans and that was my name or not. Nevertheless, it was very awkward, and I'm getting better at fudging through and blowing off and weaseling my way out of the awkward situations. So, to say the least, I still relate to the struggles with name. It's just been different for me. I just wanted to share this because it just felt like everyone felt like this advertisement was heartwarming for them and warm for them, and I just had a different type of initial reaction and feelings towards it, and I just wanted to share that so anyone else is feeling the same way doesn't really feel alone in that. I still think that the advertisement is great, and I think it's important to be sharing these trans stories just to help other people see what it's like a little better. And while doing that, not everyone's going to have the exact same experience that is portrayed in the advertisements, so they're not going to be exactly ideal and perfect. I'm sure there's plenty of people who saw themselves in it, but I just like to note that not everyone has the same journey about being trans, and it's okay to have different kind of feelings regarding this advertisement. I had actually made a while back a dorky, goofy little skit about what it felt like early on to be going by a different name. I feel it's related to this one, so I'm going to have that here and then some other random one over here. Feel free to click on those. Thanks for watching. Until next time.